So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to my lecturer and all my friends. My name is Nurul Faradila binti Cik Razak with ID number AM 2111010295. And also, thank you for coming to witness my presentation on the effect of teaching aids in learning environment among kindergarten children. So, first of all, I choose the title of this study because most teachers nowadays need to be exposed to the use of teaching aids in the classroom. And nowadays, the children are too exposed to the latest technological developments like gadgets. However, there is a lot of words of mouth saying that technology now has a lot of negative impact to the children. So, I start looking and researching what kind of teaching aids the teacher need to apply in the class, and what teaching aids can help the teacher make this class more effective. Do teachers also apply the use of modern teaching aids that using a technology, or do they still use traditional teaching aids that are physically in nature? So, my objective for this research have two, which are to explore the type of good teaching aids for the effective learning process and the use of teaching aids. Second objective, to explore the characteristics of good teaching aids that can be implemented in the class. Based on the two objectives, I have developed two research questions to help me stay on the track with my studies. So the questions are, what is the type of teaching aids that we can implement in the class? And the second one, what does the characteristics of developing good teaching aids for the learning? In this study, I used the all ecological system theory by Brenner as a suitable link guide. In this theory, there are ecological levels that affect children's growth. In addition to that, it also slightly related to the level of children's cognitive development levels. So here, the researcher can associate each level with the suitability of the teaching aids that can be used. In addition, while doing the research, of course, I do a literature review to strengthen my finding and search result, where I do a literature review based on IV and DV of my title, which is Teaching Aids and Learning Environment. So many previous studies share about the effectiveness of the teaching aids, learning environment, and so on. Now, my research is using qualitative approach, where I have used demographic data and interview season to gather research finding. I have set my study population around the city of Kuala Lumpur and reduced it to my sample, which is the Ceras area of Kuala Lumpur. So here, I freely choose a kindergarten in the Ceras area to get the availability of those teachers to be my respondent. And yes, do my research, my respondent only focus on kindergarten teacher, where I have found 5 respondents for this study. Now, the finding. So the finding of this study are divided to two, namely the demographic data section and also interview section. Finding of my demographic data, this time I found 5 female teachers, where 3 of them had diploma and 2 had a degree. In addition, 3 of them had just immersed themselves in the field of early childhood education within 1 to 2 years, while 2 have served for more than 7 years. Next, interview season was indeed conducted to achieve the objective. Based on the first objective, the result of the study state that the teacher prefer to use traditional teaching aids rather than modern one. This is because these traditional teaching aids are more practical, which allow children to explore independently about the learning. Next, Based on objective 2, the study found many characteristics that need to be emphasized in building good teaching aids. Among them, the teaching aids need to be to have a suitable size, have a height accessibility. Teaching aids also need to not require high cost and the last design of the design. The teaching aids need to be appropriate according to the level or the child. The above is one of the most important things so that teaching aids can be accessed by all children at the same time, leading to an interesting and good learning environment. So finally, it's time for my research contribution and my recommendation for all teachers and field experts in the future. Now, my research contribution on early childhood education field are to enhance comprehension and learning, then raise student participation in classroom instruction, promote active learning, and also to raise the teacher effectiveness. However, I have recommendation for two parties that involve in early childhood education, which are teachers and field experts. I recommend to the teachers to monitor every gesture of the children to understand them, to build a learning environment that can attract their interest in learning. Then, teacher needs to use appropriate material in developing teaching aids to avoid any danger or anything else. And last but not least, for teacher, they can continue this research related to the colors use of teaching aids that suit to the children. So now, for field expert, I recommend them to organize a module for the creation of instructional materials, then do a next study related to the use of technology integration into the teaching. And finally, they can incorporate professional development and teamwork with their peers. So, to conclude my research, my thesis has explored how different components of instructional aids contribute to the development of rich learning environment for children. Then, the result of this thesis emphasizes how crucial it is to carefully integrate the teaching aids and continually assess them in order to maximize the learning environment. So before I stop at here I also want to thank a very grateful to my supervisor, parents, siblings, and my friends for their guidance and support during this research process. So thank you for this opportunity to share the result of my research. I am open to receive input and questions. So thank you.